Hi there, welcome to Microsoft Azure Training Series. My name is Neeraj Kumar. I'm a cloud evangelist and enterprise architect, and I will be your instructor for this course. Hey there, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on wherever you are joining this session from. This is part 4 and the last module of the series, Manage Identity and Access in Azure AD. And this module is Secure Azure Active Directory users with multi-factor authentication. In this module, we will try to understand what a multi-factor authentication is and how to plan for MFA. I'll use the name multi-factor authentication and MFA interchangeably throughout this module. We will end this module and the course on managing identity and access management course with a demo on configuring the multi-factor authentication. In case you have not gone through the previous modules, I have provided the lists in the description for all the 3 previous parts. This is actually one of the requirements for the Azure Administrator and the Azure Architect certification examinations. And I would highly recommend that you go through them to have a solid foundation. Okay, so without much ado, let's get cracking. I have been repeating myself as a broken record that securing your assets on the cloud is the primary objective while designing a solution. And it certainly does need repeating to get it engraved as a default mindset as a cloud solution provider. Although cloud does provide multiple ways to achieve that security, like by setting the password complexity rules, password expiration rules, self-service password reset, identity protection, smart lockout, Azure AD application proxy, SSO, and there are other tools like Azure AD Connect and Azure AD Connect Health that we discussed in the previous modules. All of these are good options, but are still vulnerable to security risks, and there can be n number of ways. In order to make your security more robust, Azure AD provides us with the multi-factor authentication, which adds an additional layer of authentication for the user trying to sign into Azure to access the resources. And these fall under one of the categories. The first one is the layer 1 authentication. This is termed as something you know, which is generally a password or can even be an answer to a security question. Once the layer 1 authentication has passed, the user is challenged with the additional security, and that is layer 2 authentication. This has 2 parts, which are something that you possess and something that you are. So mobile app that can receive a notification, receive messages, phone calls, or even a token generating app falls under the category of something you possess. Whereas biometric properties such as fingerprints or the face scan used by mobile devices fall under the category of something that you are. And after the layer 2 authentication passes successfully, the user is permitted to access the resource that it is seeking to access. There can be instances where a malicious user can have your user ID and password, but he will also need your mobile phone to access the token or even your fingerprint. We now know that MFA is a 2-step verification process. One additional thing is that the multi-factor authentication is available in the Azure AD free version as well. But there definitely are differences in the features and capabilities between these free versions and the paid licenses, which comes with the Azure AD Premium P1 and Azure AD Premium P2. See, good things in life do not come for free, right? We will look at these differences in features shortly, but before we go there, we now understand that MFA tightens the security and makes it impossible for the malicious users to hack into the system, imposing as a user and get the data and other organizational information. Let us take a moment to understand the flow. It is important to understand how the MFA works. Once the MFA has been implemented, the local Azure MFA service validates the initial sign-in request. It does it via the Azure AD or by passing the authentication request to the on-premises Active Directory. After the validation passes, the service then sends the request to Azure Multi-Factor Authentication Server for Layer 2 validation, which we just saw sometimes back. Then the Azure Multi-Factor Authentication Server sends an additional challenge to the user for verification and validation. We discussed about this. It can be through any means which has been set up, like a phone call to the registered phone of the end user, text messages to the user's mobile phone as SMS, mobile app notification which asks the user to complete the verification by selecting Verify in the mobile app, mobile app verification code, which is a 6-digit code sent to the user's mobile app. The user then enters this secret code on the sign-in page, or there can also be an initiative for open authentication compliant tokens. You can use these compliant tokens as a verification method as well. So we now know that the MFA service sends the sign-in request first to the Azure AD for layer 1 validation and then to Azure Multi-Factor Authentication Server. Azure MFA allows the provider of the request service to validate that the users are real people and not the bots, that they have their devices with them, and that they can provide any additional information. Azure MFA improves the security for the requesting users because someone can't easily impersonate them. You should require Azure MFA on all the services, especially on the mobile services. Even before we look into the planning of the MFA deployment, let us first try to understand the differences or compare the features of the free version of the MFA, which is there for the Azure AD Free, and the license-based MFA. When we are talking about the license-based MFA, it is about Azure AD Premium P1 and the Azure AD Premium P2. So if you look at the Azure AD Free security defaults, the first two features, protect Azure AD tenant admin accounts with MFA, yes, it is available there in the Azure AD Free. Also, the mobile app as a second factor is also available there. Same thing is with the global administrators for the Azure AD Free account. But additionally, what you're also getting is the phone call as a second factor and also the SMS as a second factor. It all depends how it has been configured. But these are additional features that you get for the global administrators when using the Azure AD Free version. Additionally, there are other two features that are available in the free version just for the global administrators. One is the admin control over the verification methods and also to remember the MFA for the trusted devices. So as an end users, you do not have the flexibility to choose your own MFA method, okay? Because you don't have the options to do that. Now, with Azure AD Premium P1 and Azure AD Premium P2, you are getting all the features. Like you get the fraud alert, you can have a phone call as a second factor, you can use an app, even you can have SMS as a second factor for authentication and verification. Also, you get to see the multi-factor authentication reports. As an administrator, you can change, you can customize the greetings for the phone calls that you receive. And the caller ID for the phone calls, you can have that custom. One additional thing that you can also have, which was only there for the global administrators in the Azure AD Free, is remember MFA for the trusted devices that you can have for other users as well who have been assigned the Azure AD Premium P1 or the P2 license. And lastly, one of the important features that you get with Azure AD Premium P1 or P2 is the MFA for the on-premises applications. And what is that? It is actually you are able to set the multi-factor authentication for your on-premises applications, and any user trying to get in have to undergo the two-factor authentication. I have provided a link to the Microsoft documents for the feature and license comparison. In case you want to have, you can click on the link and you can just go there and have a feature comparison and then decide which version is apt for you. You have to agree that every bit of work requires planning, and so is the multi-factor authentication deployment. There are several factors that you should consider before you make up your mind, and that includes your security requirements, licensing costs, and there are multiple other factors. As a best practice, consider rolling out MFA in phases, starting with a group of pilot users. This will help in not just evaluating the features, but also identifying the complexity of the system, current issues, or it can be any other kind of problems. Once that is a success, then you can plan for phase 2 with added users and repeat the steps, that is, repeat the evaluation process. This phase-wise approach definitely helps. Then we have the next step in the deployment process, and that is to educate the end users to make them understand the requirements and what needs to be done to make the MFA deployment a success. There should be proper communication well beforehand so that the users are well prepared of the upcoming changes and the actions to be performed. I have put an attribution link at the bottom of this slide for your convenience to download the MFA rollout material that you can use for communication purposes. And finally, in the fourth phase, you onboard all the remaining resources. When you are working with Azure AD Premium P1 or P2 licenses, multi-factor authentication is enforced with the conditional access policies. This is not the case with free Azure AD license. These policies are kind of if-then-else statements. You can create a policy and the user logging in should complete the challenge to meet the challenge for the MFA. And once the user is validated, they are allowed access to the resource. These resources can be a specific application or a network or a device. It all depends on how the policy is set up. So we will see them in action in our demo shortly. When you are designing a solution with MFA, you have to decide on the layer 2 authentication methods to be allowed. One word of caution here is that as a best practice, you should allow more than one methods for validation to help the users in cases where one of their primary methods is not working. So these methods are the one that we already discussed some times back. These more than one methods can be enabled by the administrators, which then can be opted in by the users as the method that they want to use. Okay, so now it is time for us to dive into the demo and see it actually working. In our demo, we will use our upgraded license for Azure AD, which is Azure AD Premium P2, to deploy the multi-factor authentication and also create conditional access policy for the users to automatically get enrolled for the MFA. We will also work on enabling MFA for individual users, which comes in handy for specific tasks. Finally, we will also look at how to get the usage and insights for the authentication activity. Let's get started. So here I am on my Azure portal, and the first thing I want you to notice here is that I have logged in using the neeraj@kurari.com account, and this user is a global administrator. So the bottom line is, if you are enabling the multi-factor authentication, it should be done using the global administrative account. So I will go to Azure Active Directory, and I am on the home page of Azure Active Directory for Kurari. And here, if you notice under Manage, I will scroll down a little. You will see the link to security. I'll click on it. And again, under Manage, I have the option for the MFA. I'll click on it. And then I have the option to configure additional cloud-based MFA settings. So I will click on it again. And I am on the page where I can set up the multi-factor authentication for different kinds of users. So the first option here says the app password, and it has two options: allow or do not allow to create the app passwords. And this is good in the case where you cannot have any other options for the multi-factor authentication. And next we have the trusted IPs. Now what are trusted IPs? Trusted IPs can be used in cases where you have federated users and they have a specific range of IP addresses. So I can just put that IP address range here, and the multi-factor authentication will be skipped for those particular IP addresses or for those particular users who are using those IP addresses. As of now, there is no trusted IP concept, so I'll scroll down, I'll skip that section, And then we have the verification options. I have all the options selected here, which is text message to phone, notification through mobile app, and verification code from the mobile app or the hardware token. One of the options that I see disabled is call to phone. So that is something that I need to check, but at least I have the text message to phone enabled. So I'm good with it for now because this is just a demo. For the production purposes, of course, you should have one of the other options as call to phone as well. Next is you have the remember multi-factor authentication. Okay, so this is for allowing the users to remember the multi-factor authentication. So there are certain devices that they are logging in through and making use of those devices for logging into Azure. So what you can do is you can check this, allow users to remember multi-factor authentication on the devices they trust. So once they say, yeah, they trust the device, they can skip the multi-factor authentication on those devices for the amount of period that you mention here. The default number of days is 14, but you can choose anywhere between 1 to 60. So the only thing needed here is just to check this box. For us, even we are skipping that, and we will click on save. And once that is done, we will get the notification that the updates are successful. So we will close this. And from here, I can go to the Azure portal for the advanced setting from here, or I can switch back directly and I can directly work here. Now that we are back on the multi-factor authentication page, I can create the conditional access policy. So for that, I'll go back to security and I can click on conditional access. So once we have this conditional access clicked, I can click on new policy and I'll give this policy a name, supposedly all users, and under the assignments I can select the users and group. So I will click on it, and under users and groups I have different options. One is to include which users can have the multi-factor authentication experience, or exclude people whom you do not want to have the MFA experience. So I'll go to include. I can choose between different options, which is none, all users, or select users and groups. So I can select all users, and then I will click on cloud apps or actions. Here also I can select a particular app or all the apps and whatever I need to include as a part of the MFA experience. And then we have the user actions, and user actions are basically dependent on the actions taken by the user. For now, we are not going to take that. We will go to cloud apps, and I have three options here, which is none, all cloud apps, or select apps. So I will click on select apps, and from here I can select the Kurari B2C app that we created in our third module. So I can click on this, and if there are any other apps that you want, and I can also select Azure SQL database, just in case somebody wants to open the Azure SQL database, they needs to undergo the multi-factor authentication. So these two apps are selected for me. I'll click on select, scroll down, and I can see those apps selected. Now that this is done, I'll click on conditions. And here I have different options here. One is the sign-in risk, the other one is device platforms, locations, and client apps, as well as the device state. So client apps and device states, they are in the preview mode currently. So I have the options to select between them, but I will be selecting the locations. And what I will do is I'll configure it to say any location. And once that is done, I'll scroll down again. And for the access control under grant, I have block access or grant access. What I will do is I will check the first box that says require multi-factor authentication. And that is the most important setting, guys, because this is something which will enforce the multi-factor authentication. So we need to select this and then click on select. Once that is done, I will enable the policy. I'll click on and then click on create. So the conditional access policy for multi-factor authentication has been deployed and its state is on. So let's do one thing. Let us also see how you can enable the multi-factor authentication for a single user. And for that, I will go back to the Azure Active Directory for Kurari. Here, I have users. So I'll click on users and then I will click on multi-factor authentication. So it will open a page where you will see all the users that are there in your organization which have been synced with the Azure AD or who have been created as a part of Azure AD. So all the users are listed here. You can select all the users or you can select a particular users. Say I want to select Raghav. The email ID is raghav@kurari.com and I want to enable the multi-factor authentication for this person. So from the right hand side, you see that under the quick steps, it is enable, or you can manage the user settings. I can click on enable to enable the multi-factor authentication for this user. So now the multi-factor authentication has been enabled. And now what I will do is I'll go back to Azure AD. I'm going to sign out. And what I will do is I'll sign in using Ritu's account again and switch to the Kurari B2C directory. I'll click on Ritu and then I'll sign in using her account. Again, I am on Kurari B2C using Ritu's account. So once I'm there, what I can do is I can just search for Azure AD B2C and go to user flows. And I have the sign up and sign in form. I'll click on this and run the user flow. We will test the flow again the way we did in the third module. So we will click on it and let's see what happens. So I can try and log in using the Kurari B2C AD. So I will click on this and click on next. And see here, it is asking me to provide additional security information. If you remember, when we were configuring the multi-factor authentication, we added this app to have the multi-factor authentication experience and it included all the users. So now when I'm trying to log in using Ritu's account, I'm getting challenged for the additional security verification. So I have the option here for authentication via phone or mobile app. I'll choose authentication phone. And it is asking me for the country or the region. I'll choose United States and I will provide my number. And here it gives me an option to send me a code by text message. Now, one additional thing that I would like to share with you here is I'm not seeing the option for a phone call. Generally, there are different methods listed here, which is not the case right now. So the only option is to send a message code by text message. So I'll click on next. Yes. Did you hear the beep? Okay. So I got the code. So I will just enter that same number here and I'll verify. So once I am successfully verified, I will have the option to click on done. I'll click on it and then accept the terms of Kurari B2C app. So I'll click on it. So finally we are authenticated and we are on the same page jwt.ms where we can see all the tokens returned. And this is what I demoed earlier in the third module on where you can get your claims and you can verify that these are the claims that were sent by the Azure AD. So we are good with the multi-factor authentication. It is configured and it has set the second layer of verification and it is challenging the user with the code that it sends over the SMS. And now let's go back to the Azure portal, log out and log in using Raghav's account and see how multi-factor authentication works in that case, where the multi-factor authentication was enabled for a single user. So I'll go back to the Azure portal. I'll click on the name and then I'll click on sign out. And once I'm completely signed out, I will use Raghav's account for signing back in. So I will type in Raghav. Click on next and sign in. And it says now that more information is required and the message shows that your organization needs more information to keep your account secure. And this is basically the multi-factor authentication message. So it is coming from the MFA server. I'll click on next and it will take me to the multi-factor authentication page where I can provide my additional security. So authentication is by phone or by mobile app. I'll choose the authentication phone and then select the country and enter the phone number. For now, I'll use the same phone number and then click on next. So I just received the code which I'll enter now, and after entering, I'll click on verify. Once verified, I will be given the password here, and again, this password can be used for any app that does not support MFA. In that case, the MFA server will provide you with a password which you can set for yourself as well, and this password can be used for the second layer of authentication. So I can copy it from here, and once I have copied, I'll click on done. And it takes me to the Azure portal. So all the other users who are trying to get inside the Azure portal are also being challenged for the second layer of authentication, and the MFA server challenges them with the additional code or additional security, which once verified will let you in. So that completes the demo for the multi-factor authentication. So that is how you can set up the multi-factor authentication for an application as a whole, where all the users accessing that app need to verify themselves, or you can set up the multi-factor authentication for a single user on a particular application or on the portal or any particular service. We are finally at the end of this module, which is Secure Azure Active Directory Users with Multi-Factor Authentication. With this, we also are at the end of our course of Manage Identity and Access in Azure Active Directory. So in this module, we try to understand the multi-factor authentication, the flow of how it works, and also we discussed on the phase-wise approach for the MFA deployment. We had a quick peek into the licensing feature and had a comparison between the Azure AD free version providing the MFA and the Azure AD Premium P1 and P2. Finally, we ended this module by configuring the multi-factor authentication and creating the conditional access policies for the users to enroll for multi-factor authentication. I would definitely suggest that you please go ahead and start practicing and see how the Azure AD free and the licensed versions work and what are the feature differences between these two versions of the Azure Active Directory. Practice is the best way to learn, right? So go ahead and learn as much as you can. That will definitely help. And as I previously mentioned, this course is a part of Microsoft Azure Administrator Associate and the Microsoft Azure Architect Certification Examination. So it is worth to watch all the videos and learn from it. I hope you enjoyed this session as much as I did being your trainer. You can download all the training material from azuretraining.com. You can follow me on Twitter and on LinkedIn. My Twitter handle is @MSTechTrainings and my LinkedIn URL is given. Until we meet next time, keep azuring.